Welcome back to another video. Well, if you're anything like me and you're a bit of a gear nerd, you probably have a little bit of a meltdown every time a new bit of kit gets announced in some attempt to shave a few grams from your pack load. But there's always a dilemma which way to go. So in this video, we're going to have a look at two pumps. The new Flextail Mini, which I think was released last year, and the Flextail X, which superseded the previous model. Now, before I get into this, let's just have a little bit of pour as it's Christmas, just to help me along the way. Lovely. So I've actually had both of these pumps out on through hikes and tested them in the field. Now let's have a little look at the differences between the two and which pump to go for. Well, firstly, they're cheap as chips, so don't hold back, just buy the two and fathom out which one is the most suitable for your needs. So the Flextail X is a different beast to the Flextail Mini in that they both have rechargeable batteries, but the Flextail X actually has a USB-C where the battery is integral and charges via the USB-C cable, whereas the Flextail Mini has a battery inside, so you actually have to open the pump up, get the battery out and charge it via also a USB-C there on the end. So there's an added bit of inconvenience there with the Mini opposed to the X, which you just plug the cable in. The second thing, of course, is the battery in the X is going to be much larger as it has to utilize the pump and the built-in LED light, whereas the Mini has no light. So we might be saving a few grams with a Mini, but then we've got to bring a head torch. Well, probably we'd have the head torch anyway, but the X is a nice pump to actually hang up inside your tent on your washing line and utilize as a flashlight or a tent light. Let's have a look at the weight penalties now of each pump in grams. So the X comes in at 106 grams with the little mitten hook on the end, which is negligible, versus the Mini, which comes in at 60 grams, 59 grams, excluding the thermometer I've got fastened onto the end of it. We can change that to ounces and just do a double check. The Mini coming in at 2.15 ounces versus the X coming in at 3.75 ounces. So significant difference there in the weight of the two pumps. And as you can probably see, the Flextail X comes with a range of adapters. However, as with the previous model, I've had to modify mine so it actually stays in the Nemo Tensor mat, because this fitting, as you'll see, it's tapered and it doesn't stay in the Nemo Tensor mat, it just falls out. So with that modification, which is on another video on my channel, which is just a syringe which has been glued onto the end there and flared out a little bit, it does actually lock in and work quite well. Whereas the Mini does actually come with this proper custom-made rubber end, which perfectly fits in the Nemo Tensor. So it swings and roundabouts with regards to that. Power-wise, I'll just show you the power of the pump, if it works. There we go. You see we took a couple of switches there. So, I mean, really, it pumps. It's not a jumbo jet. It will blow the pad up in some time, but it's what it is. It's a tiny little pump that's going to do its job there. When we go to the X here, now the X is a little bit temperamental. You might want to blow your pad and get a flash of light in your eyes. or you might get a pump. Let's see what we get here. Ah, there we go. You see, we've got a light instead of a pump, which then we have to go through the 3 settings, and there we go. Now the X actually isn't blowing that much more air than the Mini, but it's like a jumbo jet. You don't want to be stealth wild camping somewhere you shouldn't be with the X, because they're going to know you're there. The Mini, on the other hand, is a lot more quiet. So there we go, guys. That is the Flextail Mini versus the Flextail X. As I said, the Mini has got a much smaller battery. It will have a lot less battery life than the X, which clearly has a much larger battery, as it has to function as a pump and an LED light. The X is significantly more heavy, but it doubles up as a tent light, which is handy, to be honest. Whereas the X, you are always going to have to use your head torch in the tent. You've got no light to hang up there. The Mini can be charged directly off the USB, whereas the X can be charged directly off the USB, whereas the Mini, you have to fiddle about with that, take the battery out, charge it, and put it all back together. So it really depends on where you're going and what your needs are. If you're going on a long distance through hike and every gram is really important to you, take the Mini. Because if you've got to have a head torch anyway, you're not really any better off, and you're virtually half the weight. If weight isn't such an issue and you want to have the benefit of having a pump, which is easier to charge, incorporates a light, and it will go for a lot more days for battery life in comparison to the Mini, then go for the X. There is no clear answer into which pump is better than the other one. But ultimately, buy both and give them a try. Thanks for watching the video, and if you like my reviews, don't forget to click and subscribe.